Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the animation industry and its increasing importance to Hollywood. Because, you know, Hollywood is kind of burning down right now. And, you know, a lot of live action productions have been halted, and animation has been a bright spot because a lot of animated content can be produced remotely. So what this has led to is a huge increase in demand for animated content. But with that comes, I guess, the animation wars.
But is it really an increase in demand? Is this because that's what they can do and still do during a pandemic? It's not because it's what they want to do.
Well, I'm talking the studio executives want it because
because they're like, hurry up, we have to have something. But then you end up with shows like shit, which we've seen lately.
Sci-fi.
So yeah, some of these shows, the animation is just, you know, what the hell is that?
Yeah, and we're going to see a really mixed bag because everybody is racing to create animated content. Kind of like everyone's racing to create their own streaming service. You know, something plus. Everything's something plus now. And
you know, it's actually something minus at this point, like the animation.
Yeah, well, that's it. I hope we get good animation. But there are a few bright spots. Netflix, of course, has been hiring away some Disney animators. And also Skydance Animation, which we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about comic book publishers, failed comic book publishers scrambling to get into animation too. But you sent me this story earlier today, and it was really interesting because it does look like the Hollywood Reporter is using the John Lasseter situation. So there's talk about Pixar now. Of course, Pixar last year, the year before, had a scandal with...
it was a couple years ago.
I'm using finger quotes here with John Lasseter, and they're using the situation to push for more diversity in animation by putting Pete Docter, a white guy.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's okay. He's in charge of making sure there's more diversity, but ultimately the white guy's at the top. But no, I saw this because I was like, why bring this up now? I'm like, the Lasseter thing happened a while ago. He's been gone for a while. No one's been talking about it. Why bring it up now? Because they had Soul come out and they're trying to use this as a reason to be like, oh, look, it's because of Pete Docter that they're getting all this diversity in Pixar, which is a lot of shit. Because they had stuff that they were doing that had diversity in it before this.
Yeah, actually, I would say Pixar has been one of the most, I mean, as far as their content goes, they've been one of the most diverse studios out there if you look at it. And, you know, Soul, just because it's got, you know, black folks in it doesn't necessarily make it diverse. And it is kind of weird that Pete Docter was the director. I mean, he's very good. I'm just saying, they want to, you know. I
mean, I'm for diversity, but they're just trying to use this now. They're bringing this back up for no reason whatsoever, other than Soul and saying, oh, look how diverse it is because of this guy. Soul had probably been in development for years, even before he took over.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. Let's backpedal a little bit with the John Lasseter situation, because I'm thoroughly convinced that Disney is going to get lapped 7 Ways to Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
By a ton of other studios, not just Skydance, but Netflix has so many other things going on right now too. We saw what happened with Klaus. Again, former Disney people working on Klaus. It was phenomenal. We've got Glenn Keane working on you know, shows for Netflix and movies for Netflix. One of the complaints went with John Lasseter. Now, nobody really knows why exactly he got gone from Pixar. People know that John Lasseter was a very touchy-feely guy. He liked to hug people. Maybe he got a little too touchy-feely, and especially in this climate, you know, a lot of people don't appreciate hugs.
At Comic Cons and stuff, these editors, they kiss their asses, get up there, and they get those too touchy-feely when they get drunk, and depending on what, you know, who they hire, who their friends are, some of them get gone, and other ones get protected.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there was comic conventions I can think of, and we're going to talk about some comic book publishers here. They're trying very hard to get into animation too, and I don't think a lot of them have any clue how hard it actually is. It's not like making comics; it's a totally different thing. But you know, there's at least one editor for one company, I won't name names, who was known to lick people at con parties, and he was a pretty big name editor, and he was allowed to lick people for years. He'd get drunk and just walk up to someone and lick them. Ew. Everybody knew it. They're like, when this guy has a drink, stay the hell away from him, because you're going to get licked.
Right, but I'm just saying, saying. Some people get, they get called out and reported. Other people don't. Then you have that one chick who was telling us to use bars and use the drunk editors to get herself gigs.
That is true. So it was.
She was married too, by the way.
Yeah, it was advantageous back in the day to flirt with editors and whatever. Now you throw them under the bus.
But I'm just saying, it's just like, we don't know what he did specifically, but Disney didn't rush to get rid of him either. Like if he did something so egregious and terrible, they would have had him out the door that day.
Yeah. See, this is what has always bothered me with the John Lasseter situation, was if it was a really egregious thing. And as I understand it, it went down between him and Rashida Jones from Parks and Rec, who was working on Toy Story 4.
I thought they didn't hire diverse people until now.
Well, that was a complaint too. It wasn't just that John Lasseter hugged people. The complaint was there's not enough diversity at Pixar. Uh-huh. So then what do? We've got this story come out. There's lots of...
We want to take over Pixar.
We want to take over Pixar. I am with you on this. I think what was going on was Lasseter had underlings that looked for an opportunity, potentially, maybe. And, again, like you said, if it was really egregious, he would have been out the damn door and not allowed back in. He was allowed to ride out his contract, and then he got scooped up by Skydance.
And that was a big fiasco, too, because you have this push for the most diverse, really over-the-top, ridiculous group of people you've seen. I mean, we're not talking about this normal diversity. The ridiculous people that you see on Twitter, they're the animation people. They are like, a lot of them are right there in these studios. So they were trying to get rid of him because how dare he? We don't want to work for him at Skydance.
He has to, yeah, well...
He still won, by the way.
He did win. Because this is what's really interesting, again, about the timing of this article. Again, Soul came out, so they're going to try to promote that. And there was controversy about them not being diverse enough, so they're going to promote that. But John Lasseter is basically hiring away Disney's A-list talent at Skydance. So not only did Skydance hire John Lasseter, who is one of the, regardless of his behavior, if you want to look at it strictly professional, John Lasseter is one of the most brilliant minds. He
made Pixar. Yeah. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it, but he did.
He is the closest thing to Walt Disney that Disney has had since Walt Disney's death. I'm going to be completely honest. That is my opinion of John Lasseter professionally. Now, what happens outside of that?
Yeah, he did shitty things, and that's not okay.
But he's damn good at what he does. Skydance knew it. So yeah, the animation community tried to tank John Lasseter. They had, what was it, Emma Thompson, I think, wrote a letter that she wasn't gonna work with them, and they were gonna try to, animation Twitter was gonna try to blacklist Lasseter. It didn't work. In fact, Alan Menken is jumping on board the Lasseter train over at Skydance. We've got him hiring away Disney executive VPs and SVPs.
Senior vice president.
Yeah, they're working for John Lasseter, knowing about the quote unquote controversy and the scandal. Why would they call it a scandal? Because Skydance is basically putting the Disney team together to compete against Disney.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're trying to bring it up now because Skydance, when is their movies coming out? Is it this year?
I think their first one's coming out this year. I think.
Yeah. So why would they do this now? Why now? Why bring it up now? You can talk about, Soul being a good movie and it's diverse. There was no reason to bring Lasseter into it. They tied him there on Hollywood Reporter, who has been known to, leak stuff for the right people like Kathleen Kennedy and stuff in the past. And now all of a sudden they're putting this article out. I mean, I just find the timing, not that they did the article, but they brought Lasseter into it. That's when I was like, wait a minute. Why? Because
he is putting together the team. Again, he's basically reforming a Disney-esque animation team for another company. Now it gets even more interesting because Apple is supposedly in talks for 2 films with Lasseter. So Apple is going to be working supposedly with Skydance on some level, and that's kind of where Pixar came from. So basically, Twitter tried to cancel John Lasseter, and it didn't work.
And he went and then they make him take classes and stuff on behavior classes. And even after he took those and signed papers, they still were trying to get him canceled. Wait a minute. I thought that you're supposed to be accepting of people if they're trying. I thought like when Noelle Stevenson made the racist joke, which really wasn't that bad, people will laugh, but she made the joke. She had to promise to take, classes and sensitivity and all this other shit. And everybody forgave her. But yet, but Lasseter takes the same classes and then, oh no, he's never going to be forgiven. This double standard is just absolute garbage.
Well, notice how they kept trying to tie, like, even this headline, They're gonna work with Skydance Animation and John Lasseter, but that's sexual harassment. And
Why is that necessary?
As I understand it, again, it was just Rashida Jones. This is my understanding.
I know a lot of people said that he was like touching their legs and stuff.
Yeah, like he would talk to people and he'd touch their knee or something and lean in, and I get that. I
wouldn't like it either.
I wouldn't like it. I don't even shake hands with people because I'm freaking weird about that. But
he's still weird about hugging like my mom and family sometimes. Not because like against he just never was from a family that was very huggy.
Right, and everybody's and
he's
I
really
get
better
it.
though now.
I'm trying. I hug you.
Well, you always hug me.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I mean, I'm not, so for me, it's kind of like, I can't even imagine personally, and I know people that are very touchy-feely, but in a professional setting, being like, let's hug this person, let's touch this person on the knee, whatever. I'd be like, I'm good.
And I agree that's a problem, but why couldn't they do like, okay, dude, you're putting people out, take this class now. No, they had to get rid of him to elevate those other two people. And I thought, why are they just giving him credit? I thought that guy at Pixar, wasn't it him and a woman? There was a woman. Yeah, because the Jennifer Lee chick. Because I was like, there was a woman too that they had over there too. They were elevated. They said they were like both running it.
Yeah, it was complicated because Lasseter was, as I understand it, in charge of Pixar and Walt Disney Studios Animation, and now Jennifer Lee, I think, is pretty much running studios, and then Pete Docter, etc. He's running.
Here we go
Pixar.
again, though. Jennifer Lee, the woman bringing diversity to Disney. Oh my God, really? How can we just say Jennifer Lee, the person bringing good stories to Disney? Yes, there's so much diversity in Frozen. I can't get over how much diversity there was in the first Frozen movie. Oh, I'm being facetious when I say that, by the way.
Yeah,
they tried to shove it in for the second movie for no reason, but the first one, no, not really.
Yeah, the second one was boring.
But there wasn't much in the first movie. It wasn't diverse.
No, it was.
She's bringing diversity because she has to Frozen 2. They didn't bring diversity to the first one. I mean, she wasn't in charge then, I don't think, but still.
It's
it's like, really? That's what they're pushing. That's what they're pushing is, it's, why can't we just say she's bringing good movies to Disney?
Yeah,
that's what people care about.
Because this is Disney grandstanding. Now, this was last year, but again, this shows I guess the limitation of these kinds of gestures. And I do gotta wonder on some level. That sounds, conspiracy theory or whatever, but I gotta wonder if people weren't gunning for Lasseter's job. Because he did have a lot. I mean, he was basically the kind of the creative heart of all of the Disney animation.
Yeah, they're doing it like right in the Pixar way. It came from, pretty much what Lasseter had been doing.
Yeah, and you could see that in the Disney Studios movie after Lasseter.
Right, they were trying to, mimic that over there, yeah.
Yeah, but I just think it's hilarious. He's putting the team together over at
I mean, if he did something that was shitty, that's not cool. But, if he did something so bad, then why did Skydance hire him? Yeah.
So I love how they make sure they get in the first couple paragraphs here. Lasseter had missteps and allegations of unwanted touching.
Allegations. Notice. Yep. Unspecific missteps and allegations. They never did provide proof.
No, it was just he made people uncomfortable. As I understand it. And look, I think Pete Docter is very good. I do. But there was just some...
I just think it's weird why can't you just talk about him? And so why did you have to bring Lasseter into it? And they're making Lasseter a big part of this article. Why? Yes. Why do that? That was my first thing I looked at. I'm like, there's no reason to do that.
Because you want to peek behind the curtain, Mickey's magical curtain. There are probably, we can't say for 100% sure, there are probably some people who work closely with Disney people at the Hollywood Reporter who are going on the offensive.
Because Skydance is going to start releasing films.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I thought. Because I saw the article, that's why I sent it to you. I'm like, oh, you want to see something good? Because they're talking how it's supposed to be about Peter Docter, but then they spent a whole bunch of time talking about Lasseter, and there's absolutely no reason to do so. Just other than the fact that Skydance is having some movies starting to come out, and they want to shit on that before it comes out.
That's exactly it. Like
you wouldn't want to be considered a misogynist, racist, sexist, whatever, would you? Well, if you go watch Skydance's pictures of John Lasseter, that's what you're going to be.
That's exactly what this is. This is preemptive, and this is dirty pool. Look, other people are working with Lasseter, including Alan Menken, who were Disney people.
They wouldn't be working with him if they thought he was a piece of trash. Why would they risk their reputation?
That is a very good question, because everybody talks. And I think the truth is, it's probably I wasn't there, don't know exactly what happened, but I think whatever happened wasn't as severe as the media would have you believe, or people would stay the hell away from Lasseter.
Exactly.
And they're flocking to him. They're like, he's the best in the business. We're going to work with him. So this whole purpose of this article, like you said, was to preemptively strike against Skydance.
Under the guise of talking about how
diversity.
Did we mention you should pick Pixar over Skydance because they're really diverse and they don't have that bad guy Lasseter there anymore. So they have Pete Docter, who's another white man, but he's for diversity because we said so.
Yeah.
There was allegations and unspecified reports that never had, proof. But,
Yeah. So that's what this is about. So things are going to heat up. And actually what kind of started this whole thing, and we're talking diversity, was I saw this on The Wrap, and they're talking about this animation studio doing more diverse content. And I didn't realize it's Lion Forge. Now, if that sounds familiar, Lion Forge is a Portland publisher that
your favorite place
had to merge with Oni Press.
I remember people had a fit, and they were to get rid of diverse people. Remember? And there was a whole shit fit about that, about how they got rid of people that were diverse.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Lion Forge barely sells comics. I actually have a friend of mine I asked who worked in the industry, and I said most of Lion Forge's books sell under 1,000 copies. How does this company stay in business? And the short answer is, I don't think they do. I think they were kind of propped up by venture capital.
A lot of these places were. And guess what? That's all running out.
Yeah, and the thing is Lion Forge and Oni Press, they were having problems before the pandemic. They can't blame the pandemic. They are. We're gonna reload this article here. But I want to point out how in this mad dash for people to get into animation, the strike, while it's hot, we're going to have a lot of, frankly, failed comic book publishers trying to become successful animation studios. And it's not just Lion Forge. IDW is trying to do it too.
And then they're going to be like, who's going to work cheap? Oh, let's go pull from our the people that we've been having write these shitty comics and draw these shitty comics that haven't been able to sell comics because no one likes their work. We're going to bring them and let them be showrunners. Like, Noelle Stevenson and She-Ra.
Yeah, and there are so many people that are, you can see the progression. You have like animation.
This looks really cute though, right here.
That does look cute.
I think that's adorable. I like the art style of that.
Oh, no, it won an award. That
I love. Yeah. I love that one.
Well, I didn't realize it was them.
It's beautifully done.
Yeah, it was Hair Love, and I did
hear about it, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool. There was a lawsuit over that though, because apparently some other TV network was going to do a TV show that looked an awful lot like it. But that was theirs. I did not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not being like facetious. I'm just saying, like, I did not realize Lion Forge was already pushing into animation and that this was theirs. But it shows what the long-term plan was, I think, for a lot of these comic book publishers that did I'd say Tumblr style books. The goal was never to make comic books. The goal with the comic books is to have proof of concept so you can push that stuff over into animation.
Right. I'm sorry, this headline, diversity in animation isn't just a flash in the pan. This is also the same place that got accused of being anti-diversity when they got rid of people when they consolidated and then people got gone that weren't white, and they were pissed because they said it was because they weren't. It was racism and sexism and all this other shit.
Yeah.
So I remember that because I was like, what? Well, there's people that stayed behind that weren't, straight white male either.
Yeah, that is a thing. So, look, the people who own Lion Forge, I think it's a couple of black guys that run it. I'm not 100% sure, but they were accused of, when they were laying people off, it being mostly diverse voices.
Because the people that got laid off were pissed. They got laid off.
Yeah.
So of course it couldn't be because maybe they had reasons. It obviously is because they're against people of color or women or whatever.
Yeah, Cheryl Lynn Eaton said the fact that the new company will be run out of Portland, a city that is above and beyond the pale, no pun intended, abusive to black people, defeats the purpose of this merger. So yeah, I mean, I guess I could also say that when you kind of cater to, not to be offensive to Portland, but you cater to a certain demographic in certain parts of the country. But yeah, it was interesting. They talked about they won the Academy Award for Hair Love. I did not realize it's the same Lion Forge.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's a couple of black guys run it. They said it takes time to build partners. They're trying to do more stuff, but again, we have a publisher that wasn't really bringing it in comics, jumping on the animation bandwagon. I'm not saying that they can't do it, because hell, they already got an Academy Award, but I'm saying we're going to have a lot of people get into animation
They're all going to try to follow it. It doesn't mean that they're going to be as successful. So I think we're going to have is a glut of animation, and some of it's going to be quality and look like Hair Love, and some of it's going to look like the stuff we saw on Sci-Fi. Yeah,
and I'm thinking the stuff you saw on Sci-Fi, if it's going to come from anywhere, it's going to come from IDW. You know,
has IDW tried this kind of stuff before?
I thought they did. They've been trying. Look, IDW again, they're not a actual comic book publisher anymore. They just want to make streaming shows, and the comics are proof of concept. And they've been trying to beef up their animation too. This was again, it's almost like a Hail Mary pass.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a Hail Mary pass. It's like, oh, our comics are failing. We're freaking bleeding out millions and millions of dollars, and most of our shows got canceled. What are we going to do? Cartoons are big. Hot damn, that's a ticket. Put together a team. So they're trying to do that, and they're pushing this now that IDW sees value in owning their IP. For years they didn't. For years they didn't. They just did Sonic and G.I. Joe and Transformers and stuff.
They did licensed stuff.
So I think, you know, the takeaway from all of this and watching how many people are trying to get into animation, and these are just like 2 comic book publishers, but we know comics are kind of imploding. As we see more and more, I guess, parts of the entertainment industry collapse, they're all going to try to jump into cartoons.
What it reminds me is, oh my God, we're hemorrhaging money. Quick, get the animation Band-Aids. But make sure they're the right color. You know, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. So we'll watch and see. I mean, this could be the best of times, the worst of times if you're an animation fan. I mean, there's sure as hell going to be a lot to watch, I think.
There might be more jobs.
There might be more jobs, so that's a positive.
There's a good side.
That's a positive, but the negative is there could also be a lot of crap. And expect there to be dirty games, because Disney's not used to being challenged. They only had... Well, they were throwing shade at DreamWorks for the longest time, too. But they only really had to worry about DreamWorks, and now they're, you know, it's coming down from all sides.
Yeah.
So their own people too.
Yep, they're all leaving and going, you know, other places.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.